Ever wished you could just will your dream job into existence?
Mm.
Well, today we're diving into a story that just might make you a believer. We're looking at Joe Dispenza's account of how his son, Jace, landed what seems like the perfect job.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Did he actually manifest it?
Like, manifested.
Or was it all just a crazy coincidence?
Right.
Let's find out.
It's a really interesting story, but it really makes you think about, like, how much power our minds actually have and, how our actions can shape our reality.
Oh, no, right.
And I think what makes this case particularly fascinating is Joe Dispenza's background. He's so deep into the world of personal development, this idea that our thoughts actually create our reality.
He's a big believer in that.
Oh, yeah, huge. So to hear him talk about his own son's experience, it really adds another layer to the whole conversation.
For sure. And what's cool is that Joe doesn't just talk about these vague concepts. He actually lays out a pretty specific timeline and process. So Jace was this driven engineering student, right? Landed a decent first job out of college, but pretty quickly he realized it wasn't the right fit. I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to that feeling of hitting a ceiling early in their career.
Oh, totally. It's super common.
Yeah.
And that's where Jace's story takes this really interesting turn. He decided to just take some time off to travel for a few months. It seems like that break was kind of a key turning point for him.
Totally agree. It's like he stepped outside his comfort zone and opened himself up to new possibilities.
Yeah.
And this is where Joe steps in. Encourages Jace to approach his job search, with a very deliberate mindset,
Okay.
with intention.
Interesting. So the approach Joe describes has a lot in common with the law of attraction.
Which
It is basically the idea that if you focus on positive thoughts and feelings, you can attract positive experiences into your life.
So it's not just about wishing for a dream job. It's about actively, cultivating that reality in your mind.
Exactly. Joe talks about Jace defining his ideal job, like really getting specific with the criteria.
Yeah.
Things like salary autonomy, location flexibility.
Got it.
But most importantly, he wanted to feel passionate about his work, to have a sense of purpose.
So it wasn't just a list of things he wanted, right?
Right.
Joe encouraged him to actually visualize himself in that dream job.
Exactly. And not just visualize, but actually embody the feeling of already having it. Create a strong emotional connection to that outcome.
Like he's trying to prime his mind and body to attract that reality. And that's where things get super interesting for me.
Okay, how so?
Because it starts to touch on some pretty interesting psychological concepts, like self-fulfilling prophecies. Have you ever heard of those?
Oh, for sure.
So that's basically the idea that our beliefs about ourselves and the world, they can actually influence our actions and then ultimately shape our reality, right?
Right.
So if Jace really believes he's going to land this amazing job, maybe he's, unconsciously acting in ways that increase his chances of success.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And this connects to another concept that Joe talks about a lot, priming.
Priming.
In psychology, priming is the idea that exposure to certain stimuli can influence our thoughts and behaviors later on. So if Jace is constantly visualizing and feeling the reality of his dream job, he might be, without even realizing it, priming himself to be more aware of opportunities that align with that vision.
Okay, so he's setting up a mental filter.
Exactly.
To spot the right path.
It's almost like he's, setting up a mental filter that helps him spot the right path, even if he doesn't fully realize it.
I see what you mean. So we've got the law of attraction, we've got self-fulfilling prophecies, and we've got priming all kind of swirling around in this story.
Yeah.
It's this really fascinating mix of spiritual principles and psychological concepts.
It is, yeah.
And what's even more fascinating is that the story, doesn't end there. Remember, Jace was traveling this whole time.
Yeah, he was.
He eventually ends up in New Zealand, putting all of these practices into action.
Interesting.
And that's when things get kind of dramatic.
Uh-oh.
He runs out of money.
Oh, no.
Which, adds this whole other layer of pressure to the situation.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's like the universe, or I don't know, maybe just life itself, is testing his commitment to his vision. He's facing these real-world challenges, and there's uncertainty. But he's still holding on to this belief that what he wants is actually possible.
Okay.
And then, get this is wild, a chance encounter in a surf shop leads to a job offer.
No way.
And not just any job offer, This one seems to perfectly match all the criteria that Jace had laid out.
Wow.
Great pay, autonomy, location flexibility, and it was work that actually aligned with his passions.
It's almost too good to be true, right?
It really does make you wonder.
Was this an actual case of manifestation?
Like he willed it into being.
Yeah. Or was it simply being in the right place at the right time with the right skills?
Right.
That's the million-dollar question. And it's one that we'll keep unpacking, as we dig deeper into the story and explore different perspectives.
Okay.
But for now, just your initial gut feeling, what do you think? Did Jace really manifest this job? Or was it just a crazy stroke of luck?
If we're talking about purely from a scientific standpoint, it's tough to say.
Yeah.
Like, is there a direct connection between Jace's visualization practices and getting that job offer?
Right.
Who knows? There's just too many variables at play, and we can't run a controlled experiment to replicate the scenario.
So it's not exactly a clear-cut case for the power of manifestation.
Maybe not in the the way that people usually think of it.
Yeah.
But even if we can't definitively say that Jace caused the job to materialize, we can't deny that his actions, fueled by his intentions and visualizations, probably played some role in shaping his reality.
I mean, he didn't just sit around and wish for it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
He actively defined what he wanted. He visualized himself in that role. He put himself out there in the world. He traveled to a new country, all of that.
So maybe it's not about magic. Maybe it's about creating the conditions for success.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you're right.
Think about it. By being so clear about what he wanted and cultivating those feelings of already having it, maybe Jace became more attuned to recognizing the opportunity when it appeared. He was primed for it.
Primed, yeah.
And maybe that's what makes this whole story so powerful. It's not about some mystical force granting wishes.
Right.
It's about our minds and their potential to influence our reality through focused intention, visualization, and action.
That's a great way to put it.
And, it's something we'll be exploring further as we continue this deep dive.
Sounds good.
But before we do, let's pause for a moment and think about what's resonating with you so far. What are some of the key takeaways from this first part of Jace's story?
Okay, yeah, let's think about that. What really strikes me is how this whole story kind of blurs the lines between deliberate action and what some might call fate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. On one hand, you have Jace taking control, setting intentions, working towards his goals. But then on the other hand, you have this element of serendipity. Like that chance encounter that seems to just come out of nowhere and totally changes everything.
Totally. It's like the universe was nudging him along, even when things seemed uncertain.
Yeah, definitely.
And that brings up another interesting point about this whole story, the role of, belief and emotional alignment.
Oh, yeah.
Joe talks about how Jace didn't just understand what he wanted in his head, but he actually felt it as if it was already real.
Yeah, Joe really hammers that point home.
He does.
It's not enough to just think about what you want. You actually have to feel it. It's about cultivating that deep emotional connection to your desired outcome. This aligns with the concept of vibrational matching.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
So vibrational matching basically says that we attract experiences that resonate with our dominant emotional state.
Gotcha. So if Jace is feeling empowered and grateful and excited about this job even before it's real, is he somehow sending out a signal that's attracting that reality into his life?
That's kind of the idea behind it. Now, whether or not you buy into that more, spiritual side of it, it's pretty clear that our emotions do have energy.
Yeah.
And energy can be contagious.
Totally.
If you're putting out confidence, positivity, you're more likely to attract people and opportunities that match that vibe.
That makes sense. And I can see how that connects back to the idea of self-fulfilling prophecies, too.
Oh, for sure.
If you believe something's going to happen and you act accordingly, you're much more likely to make it happen.
Exactly.
Okay, so this begs the question.
What's that?
Is there any science behind this whole idea of the power of visualization and intention?
That's a good question. And, there is a growing body of research out there about the impact of visualization on performance. Really?
Oh, yeah. Think about athletes. They use it all the time to mentally rehearse moves. Musicians use it to perfect a piece.
Right.
Even surgeons use it to get ready for really complex procedures. So is it really that far-fetched to think that it could also apply to our careers?
That's true.
Yeah.
If it can enhance performance in other areas,
Yeah, right.
why not for our professional goals?
Exactly.
But let's be real for a second. not everyone who visualizes getting their dream job actually, gets it. So where does that leave us? Is it all just wishful thinking?
Here's the thing. I think it's really important to make a distinction between passive wishing and active manifestation.
Okay.
Just daydreaming about the perfect job without taking any real steps to make it happen, that's probably not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
But when you combine that clear intention with vivid visualization and actually taking aligned action, well, then you've got this powerful synergy that can really up your chances of success.
So it's about taking charge.
Yeah, and making things happen rather than just, waiting for something good to happen.
Exactly. You're not just passively waiting for things to happen.
Yeah.
You're consciously directing your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And Jace's story really is such a great example of how that might look in real life.
Yeah, I agree. It really makes you think about how much control we have over our own luck. But there are also going to be people who say, hey, Jace was just privileged. He was in the right place at the right time. Like, that had more to do with his success than anything else.
That's a fair point. And it's important to acknowledge that factors like socioeconomic background and just plain old luck, they can play a huge role in how things turn out.
Definitely.
But even with those factors, I still believe that having that mindset of focus intention and then, actually taking aligned action can really empower people to take control of their circumstances and create positive change.
So it's not about pretending those external factors don't exist. It's more about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond to them.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the core principles we've been talking about. You may not fully buy into this whole idea of manifesting a job out of thin air, but you can't deny the value of setting clear goals, visualizing your success, and taking actions that line up with those outcomes.
It's like we're planting the seeds for our future and then tending to the garden, even if we don't totally understand how the seeds actually grow.
Oh, I love that analogy. And just like a garden, our aspirations need nurturing, consistent effort, and a belief in the possibility of growth.
I like that. So let's say you're inspired by Jace's story and you want to apply this stuff to your own life.
Yeah.
Where do you even start?
Well, it can feel kind of overwhelming.
It can.
But remember, it's not about reaching some, mystical state of perfection or anything.
Right.
It's about those small steps, consistently, towards aligning your inner world with what you want to see on the outside. I see. Yeah. So let's break this down into some practical tips for our listeners who might be ready to, take control of their own career destinies.
Yeah.
Where do you think we should begin?
Well, I'd say the first step is to get super clear on what you actually want.
Crystal clear.
Exactly. And I'm not just talking about a job title or a specific salary. Think about the kind of work that really gets you excited.
Yeah.
The environment where you can thrive.
Right.
The impact you want to make. Think about the bigger picture.
So it's about creating a vision that connects to, your values and your deeper aspirations.
Yes. So once you have that clear vision, then you can start to visualize yourself actually living that reality.
Okay.
Engage all your senses, feel the emotions, truly embody that experience like it's already happening. It's about making a mental movie that feels real, compelling.
And this isn't just daydreaming, right?
No, it's active.
This is about using visualization as a tool.
A tool, yeah.
To, get your inner world aligned with what you want to see happen. Exactly. And that's where the emotions come in. Remember how Jace focused on cultivating those feelings of empowerment, freedom, and gratitude?
Yes.
It's like training your brain to recognize those emotions as signs that you're on the right track towards your goals.
So you're creating this positive feedback loop.
Yes.
Between thoughts, feelings, actions.
Precisely. And as you keep practicing this visualization and emotional alignment, you'll probably find yourself just naturally gravitating towards opportunities and actions that support that vision.
It's not about forcing anything. It's more about being open and aware of the possibilities.
Yeah.
But visualization is only one piece of the puzzle, right?
Right. We can't just sit around all day, visualize, and expect a dream job to fall into our laps.
No, for sure not.
You have to take aligned action. Put yourself out there. Network. Learn new skills. Take calculated risks and make choices that move you closer to your vision. You're a co-creator of your own reality. Your actions actually shape what your life looks like.
So it's about taking ownership, putting in the effort, and then trusting that that combination of intention, visualization, and action will ultimately lead you towards those goals.
Yes, exactly.
This has been such an awesome conversation.
It has.
But before we wrap things up completely, there's one question that I keep thinking about. What about setbacks? What about challenges?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Because life is rarely like a perfectly straight line.
That's true.
Right.
And that's something we'll dive into as we continue this deep dive.
So we're talking about this balance, like, holding on to that positive vision, but also knowing that things aren't always going to be easy.
Yeah, that's where resilience comes in. You're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to face challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're going after big goals.
Yeah.
But it's how you respond to those challenges.
Right.
That's what really determines the outcome.
So, okay, let's say you hit a roadblock. Does that mean you're, like, doing something wrong? Or that you've somehow messed up the whole manifesting thing?
Not necessarily. Remember, this isn't about some magical force that's just going to make everything smooth sailing.
Right.
It's more about learning to navigate those ups and downs.
Yeah.
With intention and awareness.
So how do you deal with, like, those moments of doubt or discouragement? I think everybody has those.
Oh, for sure. Everyone does.
Yeah.
I'd say one really powerful tool is try and reframe those challenges. Like, see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Oh, I see.
So instead of looking at a setback as a reason to just give up, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to adjust my approach, and become even stronger?
So it's about changing your perspective.
Yes, exactly. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
You ask, what can I learn from this?
I like that. And even Jace, he had his setbacks, right?
He did.
He ran out of money. He was uncertain about things. He probably had moments where he doubted himself.
Probably.
But he didn't let those challenges stop him.
No. He didn't.
And he used them to get stronger and to figure out a better way forward.
Yeah, and that's such an important message, for everyone. It's not about being perfect. It's about embracing the journey, all of it.
The good, the bad.
Yeah, exactly. And learning and growing from those experiences.
So there's no, like, one right way to do this.
Right. What works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding what resonates with you. Try different techniques, experiment a little.
Yeah.
See what works, create your own personal approach to this.
I love that. So for our listeners out there, the ones who are feeling inspired and ready to take that first step towards, creating their dream careers.
Yeah.
What's the, like, one most important piece of advice you'd give them?
It might sound simple, but honestly, start with belief. Believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, believe that you deserve good things.
Yeah.
And believe that you can actually make things happen.
So it's about trusting yourself.
Yes.
And trusting the process, even when things get a little bumpy.
Exactly. And this isn't just about, passively wishing for things. It's about taking ownership of your aspirations and shaping your reality through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So go out there and define what you want. Be clear about it. Visualize it with passion. And then take action with courage and determination.
I love that. What a great note to end on. So to everyone listening, I want you to think about one thing you can start doing today. To take that first step towards your dream job, write it down, visualize it, and most importantly, take that first step. You might be surprised by what happens next. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, keep believing, keep growing, and keep creating the life you want.
Great advice.